Hey everybody, welcome back to Finance with Arjun. Today we're talking about all things real estate, but you're not going to be hearing it from me. I do have a guest on who's way more experienced at this than I am. He's managed to buy multiple properties over these last couple of years. On Instagram, I did ask you all for questions that you may have for him, and here's how our discussion went. All right. Hey, Suresh. Thank you so much for coming on. Really excited to have you on the channel. If you could just do a quick intro about yourself and tell us how you got to where you are today.
Hi all, my name is Suresh Padibandla. I work for one of the top bank in USA in IT industry. I'm a regular IT guy. I love music, over both latest songs and all classic 80s. I love reading books, playing with my kids.
Great. Happy to have you on, as I said. I was just wondering, what got you interested into the real estate space?
My main goal is escaping a 9 to 5 job. It's not like, I don't like what I'm doing at job. It's like, it's always nice to have an option, right? You can work if you want to, or if you don't like the job, take a break. So this is possibility only when you have a good recurring income. So I was exploring every opportunity that comes in my way. And at this moment, I see stocks and real estate is are two options I currently rely on for this goal. I always whenever I have good stock gains, I try to move it to real estate so that the asset is secure, more secure than stocks. So that's how I end up in real estate. And why did I choose real estate? Is like, if you really see at past thousands of years, and what will happen for the next 100 years or whatever, right? People need home to stay. So not everybody can buy a home. So affordability matters, right? So when somebody is not affordable, what is the other way they can get out with it? So they need to rent, right? So past years and next hundreds of years, people need home to rent. So that's another reason, because I have a very good cash flow coming from the rent.
Yeah, and in your answer, I noticed you mentioned cash flow, right? Can you talk a little bit about what you mean by that?
Oh yeah, sure. So let's assume you bought a home of 100K and your expenses are $1,000, just for easy math. Okay, $1,000 includes tax, EMI, maintenance, everything. And if you're able to rent that home for 1,200, so the difference between your rent versus your expenses is your cash flow. So in this case, 200 is the cash flow.
Yeah, awesome. So, like a lot of people have this question whether investing in real estate is legal on an H1B visa or not. And as far as I understand, I think you were on that visa as well.
Yes.
So I was just wondering what your thoughts are around that. You need a property manager. Like, how are you going about all of this?
Investing in real estate is completely legal when you're in H1B. There is no issue with that. Yeah, as long as, and when it comes to property management, right? So if you're working couple of hours a week, it's completely okay. If you're if you're working full time for that job while your H1B says you'll have to work for your employer on a full time, that's not legal. So working couple, I don't think any property, unless you bought very bad condition property, would need more than 2 hours a week. 2 hours a week is itself is more, because let's say you're living in your home. How many times you're calling your lender, I mean your landlord into your home? Not every week, right? It's not your friend. So I'm sure it will not be more than 2 hours a week. But if you end up buying a property which requires more efforts, and you think you're spending more time on this, then you're not supposed to. Then you can go for a property management company. They usually take 8 to 10% of the rent. So if your numbers are working for that 8 to 10% cushion paying down to the property management, you're good. But I don't see it's necessary when for one, two properties, three properties also. But the more properties you have, probably you may need a property management.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. So now I thought maybe we could start talking about your own experience and your properties. So can you talk about like how you went about buying your first property? Because as a newbie, that's one of the biggest challenges, right? Getting that first property.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, first property is a roller coaster for me. Yeah, but I got all the experience from it, so I learned from it. So I'm happy about it. I got most of the problems in the first one itself. And I'm not really going back to India. I thought, why not I build the properties, assets here, which will be really helpful immediately as I needed them. So that's when I got this thought, and I shared with a couple of my other friends, and they are also in agreement with me, and we started googling, saw YouTube videos, and attended few local real estate meetings. So that's when we met one of the realtor there. We know that we were living in that area for already a few years, and we know that we have seen tremendous growth in the rental that we pay to the landlord from the time we came to. By the time we started looking for homes, already 30% hike in just 4 years. We saw that increase. So we saw that potential increase in rent is going to be opportunity. So we thought of pursuing in that same area. And my realtor was sending us some listings, and luckily we were just traveling through that area, and we found one good town home in the same area where we were living. And okay, why not? We thought, why not pursue this? So then we told the same to our realtor, and so we need, the first thing is bidding. Whether we get the home, we don't know. So it was listed for 317, and then we spoke to our realtor, and we told him it's going to be investment. He said, if it is investment, don't go aggressive. Always be, look your numbers and try to save your money at the hand. So then we quoted for 316, and we got the home luckily out of a lot of negotiations. So once we got the home, we have to give him option money and earnest money. Next thing was the inspection. There was a couple of problems we got with the inspection, but my realtor was able to negotiate with the seller and got some credits for that expected repairs. And the next thing was finding good lender for doing the loan for that property. So we were not ready to go with a third party brokers because we are beginners. We don't know how the terms and all. So we thought of going with the big banks in US, but we shopped around. We got a better quote from a broker, and we got that to Chase Bank, and Chase Bank matched it. So our first loan was with Chase Bank. The seller wanted to lease back for 10 days. So when he's handing over the keys, we saw there was a leakage in the roof. So there was a water damage. And we, with the help of our realtor, we tried to make a seller responsible, but it didn't work well. So our realtor himself paid the cost, and he fixed the issue and gave the keys to us. And we were able to get the tenant in 1 week time. And from then until this moment, we never had rental gaps.
Yeah, that's awesome. They say the first property is the hardest. So
yes,
glad it all worked out at the end of the day.
Yeah.
All right. So I know a lot of the viewers watching are probably interested in buying a house as well. So now that you have multiple properties in the US, I was wondering if you have any tips for beginners looking to buy a house.
I would say, I mean, I've seen people, right, whenever they want to buy a home, they were renting in 1 bedroom home, and then they immediately jumped to a 5 bedroom home. So I mean, that's where most people go wrong, in my opinion. When you're really living in 1 bedroom, you're able to cope up with 1 bedroom square footage. Why do you want 5 bedroom immediately? Okay, yeah. So I mean, when I spoke to friends, what they say is, hey, I get 2 kids, and I would need a game room, all these things. So they'll have so much reasoning for 5 bedrooms. you're wasting so much money, right? So all those bedrooms, empty bedrooms, is cash that you're throwing down the drain, all those cash. So you should watch all of this and never put your emotion into play. You think what you need now, buy that. And I'm sure at some point when you need a bigger house, at that time there will be someone who would be needing the same square feet what you have now. When it comes to a investment property, there are so many things you should look at. How the rental occupancy. It's not rocket science. You just Google what is the rental occupancy, and you'll get to know. So you understand the rental occupancy there and see the inflow. Say, let's say now there is people saying, most of the people coming from California to Texas. All right. So you see there is a good inflow. So that means there is going to be high demand. So watch all these, international or national level changes where the people are moving, where the people are moving from. So if the outflow, what is the inflow, what is the outflow, and how many companies are there in that area. So think about what it is going to be this area in next 20 years. So you should understand all those parameters when you're putting your money, because nobody wants to spend a lot of time into traveling. So there will be a lot of people who wants to live near to their office. So ensure there are good companies so that your rent occupancy is more when you have a good companies, because most of the working people needs a home there. So these are the several factors you should consider, and the most important is doing math. If math is not working, never go for that property. So first funda is, whenever you're buying a investment property, ensure the rent is paying down entire cost of that home, and you're having some cash flow. Cash flow is important, because without cash flow, what is your purpose of buying? So if you're betting on the increasing value of the home, that's not much in the US. When we get into this real estate, what we consider is 2 to 4%. Okay, but people may see 30%, 25% in this COVID time, but this is surprise. It won't last longer. It's just 1 or 2 years show. Don't fall for it.
Yeah, definitely some useful tips there, Suresh. Thank you so much for sharing. But now I think moving on to what I think is the most interesting part of the video. So if you could pick one of your properties and then go into detail about one of them, going into all of the numbers, I think that would be awesome.
So yeah, as I mentioned, we bought that home for 316K, and our down payment was 20%. Initially, we don't have payment for 2 checks, but eventually we sold our stocks and got that 20% down payment. We immediately after closing, we were able to rent that for 2,500, and our cost was 2,100, which includes all EMI, tax, and there's 100, 200 for maintenance. All these costs are gone, and we were having 400 cash flow. That was a very good investment, because like all these years, it was giving 400 cash flow, and also there is equity building up in our account. And of course, this is a surprise we did not expect, but property appreciated. It's surprise, very big surprise. It's currently 420. But as I mentioned, I don't take much out of it, because it's not what we expected. All we counted was 2 to 4% for our math. Now the rent got increased. It's almost close to 2,900.
No, yeah. That's awesome. I think these last few years, the real estate market has just ballooned so much, and it's great that you've managed to benefit from that. Yeah. Speaking of the current real estate market, what are your thoughts on it today? Like, is it a good time to buy a house, according to you?
Still, the demand is really crazy. Market is crazy. People are overbidding 100K, 50K in my in Texas area, especially. Oh my gosh, really? Okay. So, but yeah, things are like this. Yeah, demand is very high, and builders are trying to catch up. but that's not still sufficient. The demand is really still at super high level. Maybe it may stay like this for until spring. I could see at least interest rates are going to play a little game here. They may ease the market a little bit, but I don't see that's too much. There won't be much correction. Prices may stay as it is, and people stop putting 50K, 100K, or those bids. Bid war may is a bit, but the demand is going to be still good. If you're an investor, I would say you'll never be able to time the market. So that's not easy. That out of luck, you'll have to time it. So if I say, hey, I did super good before COVID, I bought, it's just luck. So, so you can't really time the market. So when you're an investor, always keep looking for the homes. And when you see the math is working, you're good. And these cycles, right? These cycles will go on, come. So these are temporary. Sometimes up cycle, sometimes a down cycle. They're all temporary. So it will not be permanent. So when you want to pursue your career or you want to buy real estate, I see people waiting for past 2 years for the correction. And you know what happened past 2 years? It appreciated to the levels which US real estate never seen. So I would say, so you would have lost 2 years opportunity if you want to invest your money. You're sitting on cash. With the inflation, your cash has no value. It's depreciating every day.
Yeah, so I was wondering, Suresh, like, what are your thoughts on buying a house in your home country, say India, versus buying a house in the US?
Yeah, this is very good question, Arjun. Yeah, definitely everybody would go through the same dilemma, whether I should invest in US. I did go through that. Yeah, I did invest in India and I did invest it here. And to me, I saw major differences. There is, these two are two different markets. So it depends on your goal you should go. So if let's say your goal is getting your money double, triple, then I would invest in India, because if you buy any property in India in no time, in few years, you could see, I mean, you would have heard from your friends or you would have seen your property appreciated. I mean, property value appreciate very big in India. The reason is simple, right? India's inflation rate is high. As I mentioned in my previous question, inflation always works for the real estate. So it appreciates the value inflation. So India has a more inflation rate there. So your property value appreciates more there. So if your goal is getting your money double, triple in good time, I mean, that's India. India is the best place. But the downside of that is you will not be able to get any property that pays down through rent completely. It's not possible. Most of the cases, it will be one by third. If your expenses are 50,000, you'll get hardly 15, 20K rent. So I've never seen a case where your rent is paying down the entire cost of that home or a property. So that is only for the value appreciation you're playing there. But here it's different again. So it's vice versa here. So the rent always, most of the cases, maybe in this COVID case, because the price gone high, even the rents gone high, still you could get good properties which based on completely. But yeah, the play here is your rent will pay down your property. This is the play. But when it comes to the value appreciation, it can beat Indian market for sure. So these two are two different markets, and it really depends on your goal, whether you want property appreciation or you want a monthly cash. Based upon that, I would select the respective area.
As you've been buying these properties, I'm just curious, do you have any end goal with all of this? Maybe there's a number of units that you want to hit, or there's a passive income that you want to hit. Maybe you want to talk a little bit to that.
Oh yeah, sure. My goal is very simple. I want my paycheck to be coming from renters. That's my goal. Whenever whatever the salary I'm getting from my job, the full-time job, if I'm getting the same amount from my renters, I'm done. That's when I thought of calling it a day. That's my goal, so that I don't have to. If I really have time, I feel boring, I would do the job, but I don't want it to be a compulsory option. So I can do that only when I have the salary coming from somewhere else. So that's my goal.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, and it looks like you're well on your way. So that's amazing. But yeah, just before we wrap up, if any of the viewers have additional questions that they want to reach out to you, like what would be the best way to do that?
Oh yeah, sure. I'll give you my email, Arjun. You can put it in the description also. It's REI of SP. It's real estate investment of Suresh Padivanla at gmail.com.
But yeah, with that, it's been really great having you on, Suresh. Any closing thoughts before we fully wrap up?
I think thank you, Arjun, having me here. It's a good kickstart for my new hobby I'm planning to do. Thank you for your help, Arjun. As I said, if you have any questions or your viewers have any questions, please shoot me an email. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for watching, everyone. Talk to you later.